Welcome, Jai listeners. Today we have a very special mini-sode for you. We are going to be reviewing the Indrani Mukerjea story, Buried Truth, as shown on Netflix. Today's episode will be about 16 and a half minutes long. However, if you want the full hour and a half episode, please visit our website, jaiafterdark.com. It will allow you to purchase the episode and or subscribe to our Midnight Jai Society. Alternatively, you can go to Patreon, search Jai After Dark, and find our paid feed there as well. We hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Blue Sky, and if there's any suggestions, concerns, feel free to hit us up, jaiafterdark at jaiafterdark.com. Here we go. Enjoy the episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Jai After Dark paid feed. All of our paid feed listeners, you are in for a treat today. Shabnam and I will be talking about one of the most sensationalized stories, I would say, in the last decade out of India. Right, Shabnam?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty wild. And this story's on Netflix. We encourage everyone to watch it. The subject matter is a very hot woman, as they say continuously through the episodes, Indrani Mukerjea. She is one of the most talked about characters, personalities out of India, I would say, in the last decade. Super sensationalized, very similar to if... Shabnam, who do you think? Who would be an American woman that would be similar to Indrani?
It's
Michelle
like a
Obama?
female. No, not
Probably
Michelle,
not Michelle
Obama.
Obama.
But it would be like a female version of Anderson Cooper or something, I think.
Yeah. So Indrani Mukerjea is the subject, the sole subject of this documentary. She was arrested for murder, and we're going to get into the details because honestly, I'm not even sure what's going on in this episode, and I think they do it on purpose to confuse you. But she is one of the hottest women ever to come out of India, as told by a few of her, men in her life. She is a beautiful woman. I'm not going to lie. Like, even today, when she was doing her interviews in this documentary. However, she's probably the craziest, most psychotic, personality I've ever seen interviewed ever across the world.
Yeah, but like you said, she's beautiful. I was like, talk about auntie nudes, damn.
I know. I mean, hey, don't ever stick your thing in crazy, but a few men did. And they got what they deserved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this episode is not... We're going to talk about all 4 episodes in this sitting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So this series is on Netflix. It came out in the last couple of years. There's other subject matters, other documentaries. She's all over the news. She does interviews. She's on a quest to clear her name. She was never convicted, and that's made very clear in the first episode. It's 4 full episodes. It's a compelling watch. It is so wild, the twists and turns that happen throughout these 4 episodes. Like I said, I just can't get over, if this lady was in my life, I would be so far away from her, like on a different continent. Like, and then these people just stick around, right? And they're like, oh, I don't know, she could be okay. It's just, I don't know. What's your take on her overall? Like,
I think she's super charismatic. She's rich. In the documentary, they compare that family to like the equivalent of Rupert Murdoch in America. So they're very rich, very charismatic, good looking, but completely insane. And like you said, she's like on this campaign to clear her name, and nobody else, none of the other participants in the story participated in this documentary. So everyone else is like wanting to stay far, far away from this. And she's like, you think someone in her family is missing, but she's like just campaigning to clear her own name.
Well, that's a great segue, because the first episode is pretty much an entire overview of a vast cover up by Indrani Mukerjea. I didn't know where this episode was going, and then I realized, typical Netflix, like we talked about Indian matchmaking a few months ago, it's meant to be edited in a way that you are confused, so that they can start dropping nuggets of truth in the second, third, and fourth episodes.
Yeah.
But the first thing that she says, so to set the stage, she is already arrested for murder. She's been in prison for 6.5 years. She gets out because Mumbai
She
courts
gets
didn't.
bail finally.
She gets bail finally. And
Yeah.
now it's sort of in a limbo. And the first thing she says is, nobody thought to say anything. Where's Sheena? And who's Sheena?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So the episode starts out, or the whole documentary starts out with this black screen of death that says in April 2012, a 25-year-old woman in Mumbai's upscale Bandra area was seen for the last time. Her name was Sheena Bora. And then it says the following phone call is an actual recording between Sheena's fiance and family in the days following her disappearance. So we get the first audio recording, which we get a series of these throughout the documentary, but they're basically audio recordings that her fiance Rahul took, and this is a real Rahul. not that we forgot his name. It's an actual Rahul. So he
Poor Rahul. I felt for him in these episodes. Poor guy.
yeah. Yeah, I feel for Rahul and like Indrani's, like all her kids. It's crazy, but like
Mhm.
he records this audio between him and his father Peter, who is the husband of Indrani, and he has a series of these conversations with his dad and with Indrani also about where Sheena is, and he recorded all of them and eventually turns them over to the police, and that's why we get to see them in the documentary. But they're basically the whole time they try to get him to drop looking for her, like whatever, who cares your fiance left? She's traipsing around somewhere in the world having fun without you. Just
She's in
who
LA.
cares?
No big deal. She's in LA.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Peter kept saying. So Peter is Indrani's third husband by this point. So
Yeah.
we're going to get
And
into the details, but the phone call is between Rahul, that's her stepson, right?
yeah, her stepson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was talking to his dad, her husband, right? So throughout the documentary, we get a bunch of these audio recordings. Like I said, we also meet Vidhi, who is Indrani's youngest kid, who tells us she's, in her 20s or whatever. She tells us, my mom could be mean, kind of violent, how anyone could be. But let me tell you something. She's the smartest woman I know. It's like, okay, so she's a psychotic bitch.
Calculated ass bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vidhi was introduced to Sheena as her mother's sister. She describes Sheena as gorgeous, eclectic, but as of 2018, she says there was suddenly no contact. Vidhi says when people would ask about Sheena, Indrani would go into a fit. And Indrani's explanation was always that Sheena moved to LA and is doing her own thing there, and she just wanted people to accept that. Vidhi says they just basically pretended like Sheena had never existed at that point. So this case starts with the wildest, most desi true crime moment ever. So on May 23rd, 2012, a month after Sheena disappeared, 2 hours from Mumbai in a farming town, this beat cop is driving along patrolling and he sees that a juicy ripe mango has fallen to the ground from a tree. And he pulls over the side of the road to pick it up because how can you be desi and leave this perfectly good mango
You
to
can't
rot on the
resist.
ground? Yeah.
You can't resist a mango on the ground on the
Yeah.
dirty ass street.
It's like a waste of food and it's our most prized precious possession. So
I can't believe it.
um
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So after he goes to get the mango, he notices a foul smell and he decided to look for where this smell is coming from. And then he walks like into this forest and he sees a hand with painted nails sticking up from the ground. Like it's like so Halloween creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, ugh. And it looks like the ground nearby is burned. So he called the police station and they recovered some of the remains. And then about 12 feet away, they dug a pit and buried the remains there. And I was just like, okay, without identifying them is pretty weird, right?
I think like this is where the episode already got weird because it's almost like he didn't stumble upon it, especially since he's a beat
Yeah.
cop already. But then
Yeah.
who would be trying to show him where the body is? It wouldn't be Indrani. It wouldn't be her husband, Peter. It would be like somebody that knew and then sent him
Yeah.
out there. That was my take on it because, like I said in the beginning, she never gets convicted and she's still somewhat on trial, I guess, or she's out on bail, I guess. I don't know what that is in India, but I To back up a little bit, if someone told you that your older sister or older brother in your family was in LA or something and you're 13, 14, you'd probably believe it, right? Like we wouldn't be like, "Oh no, she must have gotten murdered." I'm talking about
Yeah,
Indrani's like extended family and stuff. Nobody would question it, honestly.
yeah, especially if it was their mom telling you, right? Like if
Mhm.
my mom said my sibling went somewhere, I'd be like, "Okay," like she would know, you know?
Yeah, and it's pretty common. Like I knew a lot of people in the United States whose direct family, nuclear family, some of them were in India or
Mhm.
Pakistan or families in Pakistan, but like a couple people are in the United States. So separating nuclear families wasn't like super uncommon.
Yeah. So apparently I looked up some other stuff, and apparently in this area though, it was like a dumping ground for
Mm.
bodies because it's like some sort of swampy forest land. So apparently it's not that weird to find bodies there. And so I don't know. Like that's
But she
I
was
don't know.
there. That they make
Yeah.
that very clear that she was there from cell phone triangulation within the 24
Yeah.
hours. And her excuse is, "Well, I'm rich. I was buying a farm, a second house out there."
Yeah.
She literally
Yeah.
says that. I'm like, lady, you're not helping yourself by saying you're wealthy and you were out there looking for a second home. Or she kept saying a farm. She's like, I was looking
Yeah,
for a
farm,
farm
yeah.
30 miles outside Mumbai, and you're looking for a farm where the mob dumps bodies. Okay.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So, the police basically didn't really investigate this. They just kind of like saw that they were remains and buried them properly. It's just like the weirdest thing. And even some of the former police officers are like, there was signs of foul play, so it's kind of weird. But then this is just a place that mob dump people. So I guess the police are just kind of like, whatever. So early on in the investigation, after the body was found, Indrani's driver was interrogated for hours, and then he ends up confessing and also pointing the finger at her, which that felt a little too easy too. It feels like there's something going on there.
It reminded me of The White Tiger. Have you seen that on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
So The White Tiger is a drama. It's a fiction film. It has Priyanka Chopra in it, and it's an English
Okay.
film. I watched it a couple years back. It has a driver who they Priyanka's character, along with her husband, or I don't remember the specific details, they run over someone or they kill someone with their car, and then they ask the driver to take the hit. So the
Yeah.
driver goes and confesses so these wealthy people can stay wealthy and out of prison in India. And then, of course, he rebels and he ends up becoming like a mob boss. And then I think he takes them down by the end of the film.
Wow.
But I, I've been to Pakistan a bunch of times. I would not be surprised if there was some sort of felony or something happened that they just go straight to the servant or driver and they're like, "You did
Yeah.
this." Like
Yeah.
so that's probably why he was like, "No, Indrani did it. It was not me." Like,
Yeah.
because he knew
I
what was
mean,
coming. They were going to blame him, right? If they could.
yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, we see this here too on a large scale. Like, I'm just thinking of Depp versus Heard. All of Johnny Depp's close employees couldn't really remember a lot of stuff, right? And it's
Yeah.
like they're just like, "I didn't see that. I don't remember." It's like, "Okay, you like your job, and you want other rich people to hire you to do this job." So it's kinda like same sort of idea,
Like, wealthy
but
people are
yeah.
protected, and like we said in our open, she is the wife of one of the most powerful people in media.
Yeah.
So she and even her previous husband was a powerful figure as well, Sanjeev. So I think she had two
Mhm.
husbands back to back that were pretty powerful. But we'll get into it. But she kind of like kind of like Jeff Bezos' wife, who
Yeah.
calls herself like I forgot what she calls herself, just like a overall I'm the best woman on earth,
Yeah.
how to get ahead. And she wrote a book about how to marry rich people, and this guy like fell for it, even though he's the most powerful man on earth. Like he
Yeah.
ended up marrying her. She gives me those vibes where she's
Yeah.
like, I'm a catch, I'm hot, and she is hot, and I can
Yeah.
literally do anything I want. And these men were just falling for her. It was pretty wild what she thought she could get away with. Well, I guess she's still gotten away with it, like
So
technically. So
far, yeah.
so far, yeah, she's out.
Yeah. So the police investigation of Indrani ends up leading to two other cities in India, Calcutta and Guwahati. And the police and the public start to realize that there's a lot more to this story. It was revealed that Indrani's second husband, Sanjeev Khanna, was in the car with Indrani and Sheena the last time Sheena was alive. And when he's brought to the police station for questioning, he basically says, "Oh, yeah, I was in the car, but I slept through the murder strangulation." It's like, what the hell?
I didn't hear anything. I'm a
Yeah.
very deep sleeper. Somebody's getting murdered next to me. He's like, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Man,
Plausible
that was
deniability,
crazy.
right? Like,
Yeah.
that's how you're not. I know you're not a criminal defense lawyer, but isn't that what
Yeah.
that seems not what you would say to your client?
Yeah, but this is, like, not that believable. Like, I don't know, I feel like
Nothing in this
people.
is believable, by the
Yeah.
way. Nothing is
Yeah.
believable. And we haven't even gotten to like the meat of it. Like there's
Yeah.
so much ridiculous shit that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and so Vidhi, Indrani's youngest daughter, she makes this passing comment, "I can't really fit Sanjeev, my bio dad, into the puzzle." And it's like, "Wait, what?" Like, this is the middle of the first episode. We're like, "Wait, what? That's your biological father?" And so we hear from a series of journalists in this documentary that I'm just gonna call them journalist or journalists. And one of them says, people believe that Indrani killed her sister Sheena in 2012, but they're like, how did she keep this hidden for 3 years? Right. And people also felt that the family dynamics were super off. And we get this teaser where Vidhi thinks people within the family know more about what happened than they're letting on. And in their heyday, like I said, people compare this family to the Murdoch family in the US. So the story's getting, a lot of media attention.
And
Um,
Vidhi is Sanjeev's daughter, who's Indrani's second husband, but she specifically says in the first episode they're both my dads, Peter and
yeah.
Sanjeev, and she trusts both of them. But then she starts to like waver throughout the 4 episodes, and I don't think she knows what she thinks, and I don't blame her
Yeah.
whatsoever. Like it's not her fault.
Yeah, she wavers so much on, like, everything. It's really hard. It must have been a nightmare to, like, edit her into the documentary because she changed her
Yeah,
story and her feelings, not
but
her
what's she gonna
story,
do?
the facts.
What was
Yeah.
she gonna
No, I
do? Like
know.
that was her mom. Those are her two dads, and they're like all accomplices at this point.
Yeah.
So I feel really bad for her. I think she even alludes to becoming an alcoholic.
Yeah.
She's like, I drank an entire bottle of gin. Once I found out, I went down this rabbit hole. Yeah, I felt really bad for her. She's probably the only sane kind of character in all of this.
Yeah. Everybody she loves is like a criminal. Like, you know that song, that trending song? "Mama, I'm in love with a criminal." It's like a
No, what is
Britney
that?
Spears song.
TikTok shit?
Yeah, it's a Britney Spears song that's trending on TikTok for Luigi now, but I feel like it applies to Vidhi too, because
Oh,
everybody
poor
she
girl.
loves is a criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to drop that in here. I've never heard
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah. So we're first going to delve into Indrani's backstory, which starts in the city of Guwahati, and we meet Mikhail Bora, Indrani's brother, or so we're led to believe. But he starts by saying the first lie in this whole story is that Sheena is Indrani's sister, not Indrani's daughter. And he, Mikhail, is actually her son, not her brother. And so this is kind of where like the first of the bombs get dropped. And then we're like, okay, so we start to see this like family picture where she basically is trying to hide these two older kids she had.
That's a typical Dizzy reaction, right, dude? If you got kids from
Yeah.
your teenage years, you're gonna say that's your sibling. You're never gonna
Yeah.
say that's your daughter or your son. It was like, I wasn't even surprised when they dropped that
Yeah.
quote unquote bomb. I was like, okay, yeah, that's her son. Like, I've never heard of
Yeah.
anything like that. I don't know anyone, but I wouldn't be. Again, everything. This culture lends itself to such secrecy that I wasn't surprised at all. I was like, yeah, of course these are her kids and not her siblings. That's it, folks. To get the rest, please subscribe on Patreon or Substack at Jai After Dark. Have a good one. Jai out.